Oh, hey! Hey, it's great to see you, Pax. It's the one and only Uno coming at you. Listen, I hear that you might be interested in finding out more about QSource. Now, I know it might seem a daunting task. It's very academic, lots of points, lots of stuff to try to digest, but it's really not that bad. And in fact, it's actually something that'll help you not only accelerate yourself and your leadership and become a more virtuous leader, but it'll also help you accelerate your region as well. So let's go ahead, get out of this cold weather, go inside, grab a cup of Joe, and I'll meet you in there. We'll talk a little bit about QSource and how we can help you accelerate and get 1% better. I'll see you inside.
Hey there, Pax. Uno's back with you. Again, wanted to take a few moments to talk to you about QSource and why it is important and all things that I think are pertinent for you to know. This first little segment here is going to be really short and sweet to the point. We're going to talk about what is QSource, why QSource, where can I find QSource, and finally, how do I QSource? Again, my name is Uno, and we're going to start off with what is QSource. Where QSource, if you have never seen this before, is the F3 Manual for Virtuous Leadership. And it was written by Dave Redding, also known as Dread in the Gloom, one of the co-founders of F3. And so what is QSource? QSource really is a tool to building virtuous leadership. So there are Q points in QSource, and they go through, and they cover 4 major quadrants. And so these are the quadrants that will help you become a virtuous leader. And the first is to get right. And then the second is to live right. The third quadrant is to lead right. And finally, the fourth quadrant is to leave right. And those 4 quadrants, when you put those together, really help for us to become virtuous leaders. And as we know, F3 is more than just a workout. And we are called to leave no man behind, but also to leave no man where we have found him. And so utilizing QSource, we can accelerate our F3, meaning our fitness, our fellowship, and our faith, and we can accelerate each other. And so, where can I find QSource? Well, actually, to answer that question, I'm actually going to call on one of my good friends, Olaf, and he's going to take a few minutes. So I'm going to kick it over to you, Olaf. Olaf, can you give us a 411 on how you can find QSource, where it lives, and the resources that will be available?
Hey, thanks, Uno. Appreciate it. So, guys, if you are interested in QSource and you've never heard anything about it, you never know where it's at, you don't know where the best place to go, there's lots of resources out there available. The first place you need to go, which is always the freest place, is the F3 Nation website. It is a simple address. It is f3nation.com/Q. You get there, that's going to give you the whole introduction to QSource. Up in the top banner, it has all the different quadrants. It has an explanation of what QSource is, and it gives you a rundown at the bottom of that of all of the different Q points and all the quadrants that you can look at. Also, the QSource book, which is available at Amazon. If you want to dig a little bit deeper or you want to join the discussion online actively, we've got the F3 Nation Slack channel. From there, we also have a weekly QSource email that my man Backup from the Shared Leadership team puts out. The last but definitely not least, if you want to dig even deeper, is the Stuff Worth Trying manual. And with that, I'll send it back to you, Uno.
Thank you so much, Olaf, for sharing that with us. And I'm really glad that you're able to kind of direct us of where the PAX can find the resources for QSource. I want to talk to you guys about how to QSource, right? I think it's kind of funny to say, but how to QSource. So as we walk through this, I'm going to throw a graphic up here in just a second, but I want you to be thinking about it this way. Where do I fit in this equation? Now, these are not in an order of importance, okay? I want to let that be known right out front, but also, too, is if you see something here on this list that you feel like, hey, this would be a great advantage for my region, do it, man. Take that flag and run with it. So let's get right into it. First and foremost, we need you to be a consistent advocate, right? We need you to be able to know and understand that QSource is important and vital for us to grow our regions and accelerate our men. And if you're not making this part of your mission for this upcoming year, especially for those in the SLT, I definitely would ask you to take a few moments to reconsider realigning and making sure that the QSource is a part of your mission for this upcoming year. It is vital for your growth and advancement of not only your region but your packs as well. Also, I would say that if you do not have a regional Q source queue, to look at doing that. Now, I know some of our smaller regions may have this underneath their third F, but again, if you want to see this accelerate and you want to see your region and your men accelerate, I would put the onus on finding a man that can take this flag and run with it and accelerate Q source within your region for this year. I would definitely take a quick look at a couple of these things you can be doing throughout the year on a weekly basis. And one of those is being able to have a Q source cafeteria. Now, I know that there are some regions out there that they have this completely separate on a separate day. Some of them on Sundays. Some of them will have it after a beatdown on Saturday because there's a little bit more time that'll allow for it. But having Q source cafeteria where they have a designated time, where they have a Q who's going to lead that discussion each and every week to cover that point. It's a fantastic way to be able to include Q source in your region. Now, I know there are some regions that will do this as part of their beatdown. So that means that they may have a ruck. They may actually just have a boot camp style beatdown where they include Q source as part of that beatdown and integrate it in there. Again, whatever you feel is going to be good for you guys, try something, do something. And if you feel like you need to reach out to some of your other regions, there are a great amount of resources out there that you can pull from. Q source COT with Credo. This is kind of a little bit of a Uno thing, but I definitely know that there are some regions out there that are just making sure that even if they don't have a beatdown designated for a Q point for that week, or they're not having a cafeteria, they're at least minimally making the effort to have the Q point being in the discussion at the end of the beatdown at the COT, making sure that they're referencing it, having a little bit of open dialogue and conversation. And then the Credo portion of it, this is kind of a personal take for myself, but closing out the COT each and every after each and every beatdown, because we understand that we're going to leave no man behind, but we're also going to leave no man where we found him. And about accelerating ourselves and those brothers that we share time with out in the gloom. That Credo is so important, and I highly suggest just making that part of your standard operating procedure for closing out the COT with reciting the Credo, because it's so impactful and inspiring. At least for me, it is. Now, there's Q source challenges. You may not know this, but there are Q source challenges that are available each and every week that go along with the Q point. So again, if you do not know this, we're going to make sure that this is available to you guys, that we're going to be pushing that out there. I would highly suggest in the beginning of the week to throw those challenges out there and let that be something that, as I always like to say, chew the cud, that your packs can do that, right? They can chew the cud, they can work on those challenges, and they can help accelerate themselves and each other utilizing those challenges there. And then the last part here with posting Q source points, the Q points and the Q source stories. Definitely make sure that this is part of your media that's getting on, whether it's your regional Slack channel or band or whatever you're using to communicate with your packs, but making sure those points are on there, that those conversation pieces on there. And if you've got stories, if you've got something where, somewhere along the line, there's a utilization of a Q point, you feel it's a great story, share with your local region, but also use the national Slack channel as well and share it on there. We're all about accelerating each other, and those stories are great, and making sure that information is available to your packs is there with the Q points as well each and every week. And then the last piece is just to be an advocate for personal growth, right? You want to make sure that our packs understand that Q source is about helping you grow to be a more virtuous leader. And so you got to make sure that we're the advocate. So we're going to move on to the next slide here in just a second, and it's going to be focused on your personal growth and how you're going to be able to do that, and some things that we're going to be able to make sure that you have available for you. So let's go over there. All right, Pax, we got the personal acceleration Q source section here. Again, this list is to help you personally excel with your virtuous leadership building. First item I've got on there is 8Block. I love this tool. Great tool. If you've not experienced it or come across it yet, there'll be some videos I'm going to post about 8Block and how to utilize that tool, kind of a crash course. And there is obviously material out there on the Stuff We're Trying page and other places where we've got a really in-depth breakdown of 8Block. But the easiest way I can describe it is goal setting process for you. Helps you keep you accountable, and helps navigate kind of yourself through the flux and give you some goals to work on as you accelerate and get 1% better. The second thing I've got in there, which goes hand in hand with 8Block, is your shield lock and whetstone. This shield lock, obviously a group of men that you have, 3 or 4 other guys that are kind of in the same walk of life as you, that you can share and help hold accountable through the daily flux. And then your whetstone is that mentoring relationship where you can find someone to be your stone, help sharpen you as the blade. Now I've got on here Free to Lead and Qsource for you to read those. If you have not already read Free to Lead, great book, easy read, gives you a backstory of how F3 got started and some testimonials from PAX. Fantastic to understand kind of the idea of what F3 is all about. And then obviously Qsource, which we're talking about now and obviously have access to on your end. I have on here, listen to sign up to get the F3 newsletter and Qsource emails. Again, if you are not receiving those are great to be able to continue to keep you up to date with what's going on with F3 Nation, but also to reinvigorate you guys through the stories and hearing what's going on with PAX around the country. And then the Qsource emails obviously directed specifically at the Qsource points for each week. And then the last part I brought in there is listening to the F3 podcast. Again, this is an additional fuel for your fire to make sure that you're staying plugged in and invigorated. And there's a lot of great things to help you grow as a man and as a leader. And so I highly suggest, if you're not utilizing your time, maybe on your travels, or just maybe washing dishes or doing something when you got by yourself, definitely utilizing those podcasts to help you to grow and to stay plugged in. So again, that's the part that I wanted to share with you. And we got one last little bit here, and let's go ahead and move over to that. All right, man, as we wrap up here, I just want to reiterate to you that Qsource is not going to help you do burpees better or count cadence more effectively or any of those type of things. Qsource is about helping you to get right, living right, leading right, and leaving right. And it's all about building you as a more virtuous leader. And I really hope that you understand that while this may be academic as far as the concepts, it's all about taking that head knowledge and turning it into heart knowledge and being able to make it so that you can make this applicable in your life and help you grow as a man and as a leader. And so I want to make sure that you understand the commitment that I have as on my end and all those individuals that are involved with helping you get Qsource into your region, into your life. We're going to continue to put out content, and we're going to continue to work towards helping you become a more virtuous leader through Qsource. And so I love you all. Keep your eyes peeled for more information and more things that could be coming your way. And let's make this next year the best year for you personally in your growth and your region's growth and helping you build more virtuous leaderships. I love you. I'll catch you on the flip side.